What's up, guys? Welcome back for another episode. I am in Pennsylvania, sitting in a minivan I just rented, and we're gonna be filming a G87 M2, as you can see from the title and thumbnail. If you guys have been following Chris's journey, you guys have seen he's gone through many different changes along his ownership of it. And also in this video, we're gonna talk to a person that has owned a G80 and also a G87 M2 and also a F87 M2. So he's gone through multiple stages in the BMW world. So we'll talk to him in this video. I'm also gonna take you guys behind the scenes as we film his every build has a story. So it's been a long day. I've been up since like 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm just gonna go with it.
Yo, yo.
Oh, what's going on?
I'm on the phone with Corey.
Oh, fuck that guy.
Oh, nice.
All right, so this is the car that we're gonna be filming today. We got Chris here, and in a little bit we'll introduce him again. But guys, this M2 has gone through many different journeys, many different wheel setups, and today we have a whole new wheel set that we're gonna learn today. As you can see firsthand, it looks like a track build, and you know what? It is a track build, so that's something that's different. And also too, like I mentioned earlier, he's had experience with the F87 on the track. I'm not sure if he tracked the G80.
I did not know.
But yeah, there's a reason why, probably, right? It wasn't a car for you.
Yeah, it was just 6 months.
It's just to hold you down until you get the G87. So we'll talk to him. We get some B-roll of it. Again, we're filming every build's a story.
Okay.
Right? Are you excited?
Heck yeah.
Nervous a little bit?
A little bit nervous. I've been on camera once with John, Thick Whips.
Yeah.
But this is the second situation like this.
Okay.
So yeah, it's cool. I want to show everybody what it is, and
of course, absolutely.
And hang out. You know.
No, absolutely. And again, introduce yourself to the channel.
Yeah, my name's Chris. I am affiliated with RPI, Race Precision, if you've seen them around at Bimmer Invasion. I work in software and I live in New Jersey. I actually grew up here. We're in my hometown of Westchester, Pennsylvania. And this is my 2023 M2.
Yeah. And again, enjoy the B-roll of that. All right, so we just finished the beginning sequence of the Every Bell's a Story with Diverge M2, and I think every time I go to a different location and try to figure out what the premise and also the opening shot is, you just have to analyze what you're looking at. You know, we're here at Oaks Detailing, and they're pretty much known to be one of the best ones here in the PA area, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so Nick has done 3 of my cars. He did my Model Y, my M3, and my M2. He's got a great reputation in this area, and he's one of the only guys I trust to, you know, fully detail my car. And thankfully, he also let us use his warehouse space for the day to get some of the initial shots, so that's awesome.
Also, too, in a little bit, we're gonna dig deep into your thought process, right? Because this is not your first M2. You've had a F87 M2, and also you had a G80, right? So I know a lot of people are curious, right? We're gonna walk over to your car. We're gonna get a comparison of all 3, and why have you chosen to go with the G87, right? And I think we just talked earlier, this is gonna be a car that you're gonna probably keep for a little while.
Yeah. So I think I'm past the point of selling it. I know that the last 2 cars I've had, I've built up and then broken down, but this is kind of the one I've been waiting on. I really enjoy it. I like where it's at. I think there's so much potential for future modifications as well. Like, I'm always thinking of stuff I can do. And also, it's just a driver's car. So one of my goals with driving and cars is just to get more familiar with motorsports and in turn become a better driver. And this car, with the way it's dialed now and what I have planned for it in the future, is going to be the biggest tool I can have towards that. In terms of the car, I actually got kind of lucky because COVID was such a wild time that I essentially traded up from an F87 to a G87. So I think with where I'm at, just in life, this is the perfect car and the perfect situation and the perfect build. And yeah.
And it's still continuing, you know, it's still continuing.
Exactly.
I think it's, you know, you never, you know, once a modder, like, you know, if you modify cars, there's always another next mod that it may not happen now, it may happen down the road because other companies come out with new products and stuff. Sure. So that happens. But I'm gonna mic you up. We'll walk over to your car. The reason why we're inside is because As you can see, it's pretty hot outside. I think I brought the Florida weather up in PA.
And consultants never stop working.
Yeah, and he's working right now. So, he's taking some time out of his day to tell you guys about his story and also being able to be on this channel. So enjoy the footage, guys. So the last time I've seen you was actually in Orlando. I didn't get to see the car up close and personal. Didn't get to sit in the car last time, but it was nice sitting in the car that actually, this is a track built car. There's a lot of people that build their cars for the track, right? The look of it.
Yeah.
With roll cages and things like that and bucket seats. And we've seen it, right? And it's cool, but you actually have a person that has done that and also tracks the car. I've seen your Instagram, right? If you guys haven't followed him, this is Diverge M2. He actually builds his cars for the track. But my question to you is, you know, you've gone through different generations, right? You had the F87 M2, you had the G80, and also you have the G87. Could you give the viewers an idea of the breakdown, right? How was it progressively, and how was it, I guess, your trajectory to the G87? Because the G87 was always something that you wanted, right?
Sure.
But you had the G80 to bridge that gap.
Yep, yep. So, I mean, bringing it all the way back to the F87, that started during COVID, and I just decided I wanted to build a car. I had no intentions of building a race car, but as those things go, you kind of just dive into mods, and as it happens, more things get discovered. So, you know, I might have started with some cosmetic mods, wheels, a hood, but then I realized I needed to get a beefy suspension set up. And then I realized, oh, you know what, maybe I can pick up a cool set of seats, pair with a roll cage, do some harnesses. So that motorsport look, it always, in all my builds, it comes to me and it evolves as the build goes on. To touch on the motorsports, yes, I've been racing now 3 years. My race resume is not, and they call it race resume, but my race experience is not that long. I've done 3 schools. I did a school out for Bimmer Invasion in California. I did the BMW M school out there.
Oh, out in Thermal?
In Thermal.
Okay.
It's a really cool spot. I did Skip Barber Racing School. I've done a multitude of HPDE days. I've done roll racing at Impact. So I am driving the car pretty often. And then last year, me and my buddy, we both built sims. So, you know, over the year, there's not many times where we're not doing something racing related. But in our community, racing is a little bit gate-kept because it's a scary sport and you have to respect it. It's kind of like owning a gun, for example. You have to respect the hobby before you can really dive into it. So motorsports, for me, it's a pretty big journey. Like, I'd love to be a better driver, but I understand that the steps to get there is I have to do the schooling, I have to do the certifications, the licenses.
I think a lot of people, right, getting into an M car that's 500 plus horsepower these days, right? Because I know back in the day, to get 500 horsepower was like a journey, right?
Yeah.
It was a journey.
Yeah, you had to do a lot.
But I think going into it, I think people really need to understand, like, these cars, they're made to be driven, right? But they're made to be driven precisely, because if not, I always say this on my channel, you're going to end up on M3 lists, totaled or on Copart.
I think the big reason why all the M3s are crashing is because people will turn off DSC and then they'll just full pedal down and they won't really know how to recognize that driving. For me, yes, this car is super fast. It's way faster than the F87 was, but it's not as dialed. So the difference is, with the F87, everything we did, we worked with an expert team from somewhere to dial in a specific component one at a time. With the G87, it's only been out a year, so we've done a lot of this stuff really fast. There's iterations and changes that we're making pretty much every week. But the car in its current state is awesome. I mean, this is a true race car that I can go take to a Cars and Coffee.
And what's the biggest difference between the F87 and the G87? Now, you always say that it's more precise. Is there anything that really stands out to you?
I would just say the power potential. I mean, fully tuned, my F87 was like, I don't know, 430 to 450 horsepower. This out the gate is that, plus all the bolt-ons, plus the tune. It's very easy to get these cars in the 600-700 range with like not a lot of money or modifications. So the power is nuts. Another thing is you get a lot of the creature comforts in this car that you don't get in the old F8X generation, which is newer iDrive, a little bit newer technology. Obviously, I've put a little bit of my own spin on it with the new wheel, so I'm missing the heated seats or the carbon buckets, but I had those for a year and I loved it. I'm kind of taking a different direction with the build, so that's why you see it in its current state. I just want this to be a race car that I can take out on the weekends sometimes. But yeah, the car is awesome. I can't say enough good things about the new M2.
What are some things that you, I guess, miss about the F87, right? Because you were in the F87 for a little bit. It wasn't a short stint, right? It was a decent amount of time where you built it up. So what's the biggest change?
Yeah, so funny enough, those seats are actually from my F87. When we sold it, a week later, the guy's girlfriend totaled it.
Okay.
And I was able to buy those back. So that car still lives on through this car. But the biggest difference would probably be rawness. The F87 was just raw. It was just a raw sports car. It was fun to drive. You could throw it around. These newer cars, regardless of if you get an M2, an M3, or an M4, they're a lot heavier. Yes, they have more power, but they feel a little bit more luxurious in comparison. There are things you can do to this car to make it more raw. We have a monoball conversion that we're throwing on. We're going to do a little better of a suspension setup. You can flash it with a CSL tune. For M3s, the CS tune. There's things you could do to get that feeling back, but these cars are just so new, and the core client to BMW is not a guy who wants to track his car. It's a guy who maybe wants to track his car occasionally, but mostly just wants a nice sports car. So this new generation is a lot more luxurious and loses a bit of that specialness that the old one had.
All right, here's my question, right? Obviously, if you guys have been watching the channel, I have a G80 M3, right? You also had a G80 M3.
Yeah.
And it's a very popular chassis, right, in the BMW realm. This has the S58, G80 has S58. What's the biggest difference, right? Besides size-wise, how can you compare the G80 as the ownership of the G87 now?
Yeah, so the G80 for me was...
you can speak freely, man. Speak freely, go ahead.
Yeah, it was almost like a filler car, right? So I had sold my old M2 for a couple months. I was just driving my Tesla, and I wanted a sports car again, and the new G80s with the LCI had just come out, the new iDrive and everything, and I bought it knowing I would get rid of it within 6 months. The fact that I went as crazy as I did with mods, that's just how it happens. You start modding and it just snowballs from there. But the difference I noticed with that is that was an X-Drive car, this is a manual car. You can tell the power is way more planted, it's just a little faster. But a manual car, you get to roll gears, it's more fun. And for me, that fun factor, if I'm going to be spending, you know, upwards of 6 figures on a car, it better have, you know, it better have a stick.
A proper.
Yeah, proper transmission. Don't hate me for that.
I know, and I'm a big believer of that because it is a dying breed.
Yeah.
And which goes into exactly why this is going to be a car that you're probably going to keep, because BMW has hinted, and also they've been really adamant about the G80. Will be probably one of the last M cars with a manual transmission.
Yeah,
the next generations are going to be hybrids.
Yeah, last
unfortunately.
manual ice. So, I mean, that part definitely swayed me, but I know that they're coming out with the CS next year.
Yeah.
I do have my name on a list, apparently, with my dealer. I could show you the text from literally like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool if that comes out and it's still manual. I hope it is.
If it's not, will you jump into it?
If it's not, I think I'll just keep this. If you want to break down finances, obviously I have build lists that everybody can look at when they ask me, but I put a pretty hefty down payment on this car. I mean, I'll pay it off by the end of this year probably.
Which is great.
And that'll be the first time in my adult life that I've paid off a car, and I think that, if any, this would be the car that I do it on. So my plan right now is to just continue building, pay it off, let it chill, learn, be a driver in it, and just experience whatever I've been experiencing.
What we realized from Chris is that the G80 is just a slut because it was a filler car. I'm kidding. For people that are gonna buy a G87, right? If you had to do something different, right? If it may be anything, if it's not anything, what would it be?
So I'm pretty close to the G87 forums. I've been on there since I got the car, and I'm almost positive it was this M2 was the first one, maybe one of the first 5 on the East Coast. I mean, I got it really early. So the biggest thing that I see people, I don't know if they complain about it, but they ask, like, should I have done this, is when you spec this car, the carbon bucket seats are $4,500. Plus, you got to do it in a package with this car. So in total, it's like $9,500. But that package is so worth it because you get a day at the M driving school, either in South Carolina or California. You get the carbon buckets, which alone are worth like 20 grand if you had to spec them outside of a build.
Correct.
So in this case, even though I had carbon buckets and I wanted new ones, I took them out. But those are pretty rare seats, and I always see owners who are saying I should have did that. Another thing would be the lights. So just like on the G87, the G80s, you have the laser icon lights, and then you have the base lights. Same thing with the M2. If you get the base lights, it's just a line here. It's not the icon.
I never noticed that.
Yeah. So I tell a lot of people, I mean, it's a $1,500 upgrade on your build, but it makes a big difference. And stuff I've seen in the community, if anybody ever told me that I have a set of poverty lights, I'd be pretty upset.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be a definite for me on the second go around again. Let's see. Lastly, I'd say your build would have to be like aligned to your goals. So not everybody's going to build a car like this, and I totally understand when people are like, oh, you're overbuilding, or you know, the criticism that comes with taking out carbon buckets and swapping them for regulars. Whatever the case is, I would say if you're going to buy this car, it's an awesome car. If you are interested in building the car, you have to align that with whatever your end goal for the car is.
Correct. And to be honest, like, we get to all take inspiration of people's builds online, and you know, obviously Instagram is a big, you know, influence, hence the influence aspect of it. But we have to realize that when you buy a car, you're building it for yourself.
For sure.
You're not building for anybody else. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you have to enjoy, because you work hard for your money, right?
Yeah.
And you work hard to enjoy this car. So word of advice, and you hear from me and also Chris, build the car the way you want. Not somebody else that suggests to you to build the car the way they would like.
Yep. Yeah, I have the perfect example of that. So last year when I got the car, it was new, so I wanted to mod it right away, get things out there, help the companies that I work with promote their products. So the look I went for was more aesthetic, you know? I had big 20-inch BBS LMs. Same carbon, but a different company. I had the carbon buckets, no roll cage. It was a classy build, but it was one that you could just take out. You know, you take your wife to dinner in, or you could go to a Cars and Coffee in. When I transitioned, this is the second iteration of what I want to build, right? I made the commitment, you know, to myself that I want to build out a track car in this platform, and that's the direction I'm going now. Two very different builds. They're both cool, but they have two very different purposes.
Gotcha. Makes total sense, you know, and, you know, we're going to continue this because there's so many other things that we're going to talk about on the Every Buzz's story, but Chris has been smashing all these questions, you know. You know, I think this is going to be a good interview.
Yeah.
Just walking around this car, I have to admire it. When the G87 first came out, everybody hated it. Yeah, I'm sure you had some points where you're questionable about the car.
Yeah.
But people like Chris, people like, there's probably other cars I can't really think about.
I'll give you a few.
Oh, the guy from Canada, right?
Guy from Canada.
What's his name? His Instagram name?
Nick. Click ID.
Click ID. I seen his car at the Invasion.
Yep.
Those two cars right now stand out to me, and I think you guys definitely transformed the thought process of the G87.
Yep.
And for the longest time, this was the newest punching bag.
For sure.
Besides the G80.
But if you remember back when the G80 came out, everybody hated on the front grills. And now when you go to a BMW meet, it is all 80% G80s. You know, fun fact about Nick is on the trunk, he actually has a black M2. And when I knew I wanted to go with a wing, I didn't want to drill into the Alpha N carbon trunk. So Nick and I made a deal. I sold him the trunk. It was perfectly painted to a spec. I got my stock trunk back, and that's why now I drilled into the stock trunk, because who wants to break a, you know, a $5,000 trunk?
Yeah, I don't blame you on that. But actually, with the new wing you have, new spoiler you have, it actually goes with the whole build. I think it complements the interior, complements your track wheels, right? And I think it looks really good.
For sure.
And other than that, we'll continue this when we have you up on the interview.
All right.
so we got Chris's car in the bay, and we are actually at a very unique spot. You guys heard earlier we're at Oaks Detailing, right? And this is the owner, Nick. Nice to meet you. I definitely want to thank you for allowing us to be here to talk about Chris's car.
Yeah.
But I see there's a lot of very unique cars out here, right? And you've been in business for how long now?
16 years.
16 years.
Yeah.
And you guys are specializing in automotive detailing, I'm assuming?
Yeah, detailing, paint protection, ceramic coatings, window tint, customization, pretty much everything short of body work.
And the cool thing is, actually, you know Brandon from Miami at Hughes Detailing, so small world, but unfortunately, yeah. It's a small world, right? And you guys deal with Modesta, and that's something that I have in my car.
Yep.
But I see a lot of these high-end cars and a lot of clients that trust you with your services. And Chris was blowing smoke up your tush, and I'm sure it's true. You are one of the best details out here.
Yeah, that's what some people say.
Yeah, so, and it shows. Look at this.
Coming back.
Exactly. But I definitely want to thank Nick for allowing us to be here. This is an incredible spot to talk about Chris's car. But hey, if you guys are looking for a shop out here in Pennsylvania, Oaks Detail, and follow them on Instagram.
Thank you. Yeah, we're here for you.
How was it?
Oh, it's a good experience. Yeah.
I think you did a really good job on the interview. Nothing really fazed you. You had some really good, solid answers. If you guys haven't watched that, you guys are gonna have to check it out on the Beamer Invasion YouTube channel. Yeah. But I think one thing that stuck with me was what your name means, right?
Yeah.
There's a meaning behind that, so you have to check that out. But right now we're getting some rollers of your car, and it's getting late, and I think Corey just got here about, an hour and a half ago?
Yeah, an hour and a half ago.
It took him long enough, right?
Drive, yeah. You know, straight from the plane to in the car for 6 hours. It was fun.
Pretty much. And then
cool.
we're gonna probably go to your favorite restaurant, right?
Yeah, Fogo de Chao, yeah.
That's all he eats.
My favorite corporate restaurant, yeah.
But other than that, what do you think about the whole event or the whole shoot?
That was good. It went well. Chris did well in front of the camera. You know, the car looks good. So now we're gonna go shoot some rolling footage, which will be fun.
All right, so we have Stafford Media, right? Randomly, you guys just showed up, right? But you actually do contracting work.
Yes, this is one of our places.
Correct. And we actually had a good time. We're in a minivan filming, and we're actually having fun. And you were showing me some tricks and tips about this DJI Pocket. It does wonders, right? Insane.
It is incredible. It really is. It makes filming rollers the easiest possible task.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you the difference between the rollers we shot on here, which you see the overlapping B-roll. And also I'm gonna show you what I filmed on mine, because what I had issues with was the shadow of Chris's black car and seeing our minivan in his fucking paint. So it was pretty desperate I'm glad this was rolling too, because you can never have enough footage, right?
You can never have enough footage, and then you also don't know when it's gonna just not work out.
Exactly.
Like you were saying, the reflections, pain in the ass. That's why we did the satin wrap on our minivan over there. But funny enough, Ken was the inspiration behind our Pacifica.
Okay.
So
why is that? Tell the people why.
So years ago, I went to Beamer Invasion, and Ken was hanging out at Pacifica, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
And that minivan handles some of these M cars, you know?
I mean, yeah, we've taken that thing on some crazy rallies.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how far the transmission's gonna go. But
Yeah. But I do want to mention, you guys are pretty young, right? You guys are entrepreneurs, right? For someone that's looking to take your steps on making this happen, what do you have to tell people? Because I like to motivate people with young entrepreneurs that are making it, right? Because you guys have your own media company. You guys have blown up in the past couple years.
What I would say is, this is something that you have to want to do, and you basically have to know that and save up your money, create a nest egg, and go do it every single day. Because if you don't do it every single day and you don't get consistent with it and you don't dedicate real time to it, you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to just be doing it for fun your entire life, and you're never going to create a business out of it. What we did was dedicate time. We started creating work for ourselves when we didn't have work. We started researching every day, creating a schedule for ourselves that was basically finding work when we didn't have it, right?
What we did was we had a schedule and we set it up. We had no work. We said, all right, we need to learn. We had Tuesdays and Thursdays set up for YouTube University. Learn everything there is
Totally agree.
to shoot,
We'd
to
work
film.
full days. He'd come over and we'd just sit down on the computer and
We did this in his parents' house in his bedroom.
Yeah, right.
And then we got an office space, and then we actually just got a place out here, which is about an hour and a half away, to work with other clients.
And that's one of the amazing thing, right? Because if you put your time and effort and you're dedicated to the craft, you can make something happen. Because look, when I first picked up the camera, I couldn't even talk in front of the camera. I couldn't even know exactly what frame rates, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But YouTube University helps all of us.
Oh, it really does.
It's taught me how to use specific things. I'm still learning as we go, and I actually learned a lot from these guys here about the Osmo. So again, if you guys need any work in the tri-state area, would you say, or?
Yeah, so New Jersey,
Yeah, we go to
PA,
Connecticut,
New York, Connecticut,
We're only
Delaware.
20 minutes from Wilmington, Delaware now, so we
There you go.
start
Yeah,
doing
so
some
we
work
have
there.
a place that we can stay in Jersey. We got a place we can stay in PA. So we're bouncing all over the tri-state wherever you need stuff.
Yeah, they're in the tri-state, so definitely hit them up. They're definitely young, hungry entrepreneurs, and they want to make you guys look great on camera. All right, we're gonna wrap this video up. I want to thank Chris for telling his story on Every Buzz's
Thank you.
story. We had a good time, right?
Yeah, man, it was awesome. We did interview in the shop. We took the car out for a rip with Ken, and then we took it on the highway. We got a lot of film, and I think it's going to turn out really sweet.
Exactly, and the main thing is we're just having a good time talking about car stuff and meeting other individuals with their builds. And actually, it's randomly, we just saw Stafford Media. It was good to see them again. Last time I saw them was probably in LA. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys haven't seen the feature video, definitely check that out on Beamer Invasion's YouTube channel. But we'll see you guys on the next one.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.